This happened in August of last year. My apartment in Bayside had been having some serious electrical issues, and I was left without power for several days while the entire system was being fixed. Since I work remotely, this was a major setback. Eventually, I decided to rent out an Airbnb just to get through the week. Bayside isn't a huge city, so there weren't too many Airbnb options nearby. The closest one I could find that was affordable was about a 40-minute drive into a much smaller, more isolated town called Redfield. Locals often said Redfield wasn't the safest area to stay in, but I figured it was only for a few days. The price difference made it worth the risk. I arrived there late in the evening. The place was a small, one-story house tucked at the end of a gravel road, surrounded by tall trees and dead silence. I didn't spend time exploring. I just grabbed my bags and went straight to bed, completely wiped out from dealing with my apartment situation. The next morning, I got up early and started setting up my laptop and remote workstation. Just before I was about to log into my first meeting, I heard a knock at the front door. I hesitated. It wasn't my home and I hadn't been expecting anyone. Maybe it was the host. Curious but cautious, I checked the peephole. Standing on the porch was a man, maybe in his early 30s, completely covered in tattoos. He didn't look like a host, and he definitely didn't look like someone who belonged to any kind of customer service. I didn't open the door. I just backed away and returned to my desk, trying to brush it off as someone who might have gotten the wrong house. The day went on. I buried myself in meetings and work until around 8 p.m. I left for a bit to grab some dinner and came back ready to relax. Not 5 minutes after I started eating, another knock came at the door. I got up, slightly annoyed this time, and sure enough, it was the same guy. Still standing there like he hadn't moved all day. This time something about him unsettled me more. His face was blank. No smile, no expression, just staring at the door. Again, I didn't open. I turned around and walked away, trying to act like it wasn't bothering me. But it was. A lot. I ate in silence, then decided I'd do one more hour of work before calling it a night. I put my headphones in and tried to focus on editing some reports. It was quiet. Too quiet. But I was locked in on my screen, and time passed fast. Eventually, I looked up and noticed how dark it had gotten. I hadn't turned on any lights except the laptop screen. I stood up and went to flip on the hallway switch. As soon as I did, I froze. There were footprints on the hardwood floor, wet ones. They started at the back door and went straight down the hallway, right up to the desk where I was sitting. Heart pounding, I slowly followed them with my eyes. They led to the back door, which I now realized was slightly open, just cracked. Cold air drifted through it. I hadn't opened that door. Before I could even think what to do next, I heard something else. Footsteps, coming down the stairs. Slow, deliberate steps. I turned toward the sound just as a figure came into view on the bottom step. It was him, the tattooed man. Same face, same clothes, same blank stare. He looked at me, confused for a moment, almost like he didn't expect to see me still there. But then his face changed. Surprise turned into anger. His eyes narrowed, his jaw tightened. He clenched his fists slightly. I wanted to say something, but no words came out. My body moved on instinct. I spun around and ran out the back door into the yard. Behind the house was a line of woods, and I didn't stop running until I was hidden among the trees. I ducked behind a thick trunk, breathing hard, trying not to make a sound. My fingers shook as I pulled out my phone to dial for help. But then I heard it. Footsteps, crunching through the leaves, getting closer. I held my breath, frozen in place. The footsteps grew louder, slow and unhurried, like the man knew exactly where I was. Every leaf crunch felt like it was right beside me. I could barely see anything in the dark, but I stayed crouched, gripping my phone so tightly my fingers ached. Suddenly, the footsteps stopped. Silence. Then, a voice. Calm. Low. Right behind the tree. "You shouldn't be here." I nearly dropped my phone. I could feel him on the other side of the trunk. I didn't answer. I couldn't. My brain was screaming at me to run, but my legs felt cemented to the ground. He stayed quiet for a few seconds. Then, I heard him walk away. Just like that. No rush, like he didn't care anymore. I waited, and waited. And once I was sure he was gone, I finally made a break for it, sprinting through the trees in complete darkness, not caring where I was headed. Branches scratched my arms, and I nearly tripped twice, but I didn't stop running until I saw a faint light in the distance. It was a gas station, a small, old one, probably closed. But I didn't care. I just needed to be anywhere else. I called 911. The dispatcher kept asking for the address, but I didn't even know where I was anymore. I told her everything I could, about the man, the footprints, the back door, the way he came down the stairs. She listened, but I could tell something was off in her tone, like she'd heard this before. Eventually, a patrol car pulled up. 2 officers stepped out, looked me over, then asked me to show them the Airbnb. I hesitated but agreed. I sat in the back of the cruiser, eyes darting to every shadow on the road. When we finally got back to the house, everything looked normal. Too normal. No footprints, no open door, nothing broken. The back door, locked. The stairs, empty. Like no one had ever been there but me. The officers gave me that look. The one that says, "Are you sure you're not imagining this?" I knew they didn't believe me. But just as we were about to leave, one of the officers noticed something. A trapdoor in the hallway floor, barely visible beneath the edge of the carpet. He pulled it open slowly. A narrow wooden ladder led down into complete blackness. No light, just cold air drifting up from below. "Is this part of the listing?" the younger cop asked. I shook my head. I had never seen it. They looked at each other, then back at me. "Stay here." They both climbed down, flashlights in hand. I waited. 2 minutes, 5, then 10. No sound, no voices, just silence. Then suddenly, a loud bang echoed from beneath the floor. I jumped back, my heart pounding out of my chest. I called out to them. No response. I looked down into the trapdoor and saw nothing, just blackness. And then, a whisper floated up from the dark. "You weren't supposed to come back." I stepped away from the trapdoor, heart hammering. The whisper didn't sound like either of the officers. It was slower, deliberate, like it was meant for me. I stared down into the darkness, expecting to see a flashlight beam or hear one of them coming back up. Nothing, not even footsteps. Just a cold, stale draft curling out from below. I backed into the wall and dialed 911 again. When the operator picked up, I told her what happened, that the 2 officers went down into the basement and never came back up. Her voice paused for a second. "Which officers responded to your call, sir?" I don't know their names," I said. "But they're down there. They haven't come back. Please send someone." She asked me for the address again, then calmly said, "We're dispatching a unit to that location now. But sir, no officers were sent to that address tonight. Not from our department." I went cold. "What are you talking about?" I whispered. "They picked me up at the gas station. They were in uniform. One had a beard. We have no units in that area tonight." I didn't even hang up properly. My phone slipped out of my hand and hit the floor. The trapdoor was still open. I should have run. Any sane person would have run. But something held me in place. Some twisted part of my brain needed to know what was down there. I grabbed the flashlight from the hallway drawer. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely turn it on. Then, one step at a time, I started climbing down the ladder. The wood creaked under my weight, echoing in the tight shaft. It smelled like mildew and rot, like no one had been down here in years. When my feet finally touched the ground, I saw the room. It was small. Dirt floor, cracked concrete walls, just one single light bulb hanging from a wire, flickering faintly. There was no sign of the officers. But there was something else. A mirror. Old, dusty, leaning against the far wall. Its surface was fogged, like someone had been breathing on it. And written across the glass, in smeared red letters, was a single word. Stay. That's when I noticed something else. In the mirror, I wasn't alone. There was a man standing behind me. I froze. My eyes were locked on the mirror. He was standing behind me. I slowly turned, my heart pounding so loud I could hear it echo in my ears. I spun around fast. No one. I looked back at the mirror. He was still there, smiling. The same man from the Airbnb profile, the host, Tom. But this time, it wasn't a picture. He was looking straight at me. I took a step back. The air was thick, cold, heavy. I was underground, but it felt like I was sinking deeper. And then, the lights went out. Total darkness. Footsteps, wet, dragging footsteps, getting closer. From behind me. I wanted to run, to scream. But my legs wouldn't move. It felt like something was holding me in place, from beneath the floor. Then, a voice. Calm, software. Almost a whisper, but it echoed all around me. You checked in. You don't check out. Something hit me hard from behind. As I collapsed to the ground just before everything went black, I saw one last thing. The mirror. My reflection. Changing. I wasn't me anymore. I was Tom. From that day on, every time someone books that Airbnb, I'm the one who sends the welcome message. I'm the one waiting. Underneath. If this story creeped you out, smash the like button, drop a comment with your favorite moment, and subscribe so you never miss the next horror tale. The darkness, it's just getting started. Turn on notifications, because the next story might be about your Airbnb.